very early in the morning, and so I can't do very early and late night at the same time. So,
What kind of puppy did you get?
it's just from the pound. It's a beagle mix of some sort. So, yeah, but it's cute. It's cute. I named him George.
Yeah.
George, yeah, I got him at 8 weeks.
Oh, wow, really young.
Yeah, they found a mama dog.
Yeah.
Found a mama dog. They said she's a beagle, but they obviously have no idea what that is, but, she was pregnant, so. Whether or not she got lost or
Hi, Andrew.
abandoned. Hi, Andrew.
You gonna be putting something up or?
Yes.
Yes, and that camera there. Yeah, this, you should bag or something? I just think that. Okay. I'm just switching seats.
Yeah.
It's all right. And everyone Christine is on the line and Lauren is on the line. Lauren,
Gina's
you sure
online.
I'm having issues with the Polycom, so I want to make sure you can hear.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I can hear you. I'm just, I'm gonna give you the Polycom.
He's probably talking. Remember those things? Yes.
The bit, yeah, the table ones.
Yes, it was, it's like a star. When you got those, you thought you were really upscale. Yeah. That was a big deal.
They were big to you.
It's still the same stuff.
Yeah.
Ah,
It is Poly, it's the brand is Polycom,
Yes.
but it's, yes, they changed them up a bit. Lauren, can you see? This is here.
I think we
Cannot
lost
see you
Jacob.
anymore,
We
no.
lost you,
Okay.
yeah. There you are.
Okay, well, we are recording, we can begin, sound is recording, I will continue to work on the video.
We can see and hear you now.
You can see and hear us? Okay, perfect. Oh. I'm just turning the volume up for you.
We can't see you, so feel free to do whatever you want.
No, thank you. It's recording.
We'll fix it halfway through. Yes. Start sipping that wine and tag one.
Meeting is recording, like I said, you have Tina and Lauren.
Okay. Well, verify quorum of the finance committee for tonight's meeting, so we're good there. Call the meeting to order. Verify meeting properly noticed.
Yes, it was.
All right. I'll make a motion for the adoption of the agenda.
Can I ask for one amendment, management comments up front? We have an announcement to make.
Yeah.
Okay. Management announcement? Okay.
On the, before we do approve, on the, to be determined, maybe Gallagher, can you give an update on Gallagher, what's happening there?
I mean,
No.
they're pretty much just doing the final pieces. I know some doors weren't properly fixed and things of that nature, so it's more of just checking everything to make sure it's fully functional and then completing training for the graduate associates that'll be using it for when they can change door locks or specific time things of that nature.
So what's the completion date look like?
Final punch list, really, just dealing out any bugs of it now.
Yeah, I mean, the complete list, the complete date is already passed. It's just
a couple times.
other stuff after the fact, other stuff.
I think last I heard was December, and we still passed that.
So, I can reach out to Don and confirm where he's at with it, but. Yeah, I know they're going back and looking at some things, but as far as cost, that was minimal to nothing at this point.
Here. That's finished. Okay, anyway, so adopt the revised agenda. Make a motion.
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Yep.
Okay. Aye. Approval of the meeting minutes, December 20th. Does anyone have any objections? Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, I don't see any owners. So management comment?
So it's with a heavy heart that I announce that Miss Jennifer has received a promotion on the corporate side, and she will no longer be able to handle the celebration account. We're sad to see her go, but we wish her well in everything that she's going to accomplish on the corporate side. That's a well-deserved promotion from our perspective. So this is going to be a slow transition to ensure we find the right person for this role because it's rather unique. So we're going to post a job requisition shortly for an on-site finance manager to go back to the original plan that the board had when you did the RFP in 2020 and 2021. Part of that process will be intensive screening from our corporate recruiters. Then they have to take a accounting test, I believe, Jennifer, that requires very high marks for them to pass before they are even considered for an interview. Then Dawn and Jennifer do an initial interview, I believe. And then they will screen out the applicants and pass to Metris and I, the top 2 or 3. Metris and I will interview those candidates and then pass to the finance committee and board, probably 2, to do a final meet and greet, to make sure that we have the right candidate for this position. Once we select a candidate, Jennifer will be working hand in hand with them to train them on the intricacies of the celebration community and all of the financials. And really, we see this as a benefit for Celebration because Jennifer and Dawn will both be fully still engaged in Celebration as they have been, but we'll have a third set of eyes on the back end to look at the financials. And you'll have somebody cited to work on additional projects, provide some additional analysis and thought leadership that we feel that you guys have been looking for based on the comments that you've made over the last couple of years. We just really didn't have a bandwidth with the existing staff. So this will be a slow process. We anticipate it to take a month and a half, if not more, to find the right candidate. I think Jennifer can speak more to that in terms of what she's been seeing in terms of hiring nationwide for off-site financial managers. And then we want to make sure that they are fully trained by Jennifer and then engaged with me and Jacob in terms of the cited financials and expectations before we fully let them loose without Jennifer and Dawn being engaged.
So timing at this point, with the December closing, are you gonna be completing the December closing?
Yeah. I'm still 100% your financial manager, well until this person starts and is trained and all that. After that, I am that person's director. That's what I was promoted to, as director. So they will be working for me. So I will still be approving and working with them.
Okay, so we shouldn't have any hiccups.
You won't have any hiccups.
Okay,
That's what.
Then I guess tentatively based on your timeline, really no impact for Q1. Q2 is when the transition, right?
Most likely happen, yeah. Yeah, this is not gonna be quick. we don't want a body, we want the right person.
Well, for reporting to you, we have like this.
Yes, because it still benefits me too, but more than that, I want the right person to fit with you guys and be able to give you guys what you need, and that's.
Are you gonna post it internally, Bob?
Internally, as in,
Grand Manners.
yes, they normally put it on the Grand Manor site, they put it on Indeed, and they put it on LinkedIn, and I think there's one other form that they use.
Okay, so it'll be internally available for somebody to transfer or whatever.
Yes, we don't expect that. But you never know.
Especially with Florida, you find a lot of people that want to come here to be near parent or something like that.
Well, there are a lot of financial managers, accountants, directors on the real managed side, and some of them came and still live in Orlando, so you never know.
So is it the new role that you're going into?
Yes, for the Grand Manor side, yes.
And you'll have this person, how many other communities do we have?
Well, currently, Grand Manors has about 55 clients, a total of about 85 financial packages, and as you know, Celebration's 20 of them. So right now, personally, I'm handling 25 financial packages, but once my portfolio is gone, which is this one and a couple others, then I will just be overseeing 10 financial managers, 11 being this one as well.
And our approach would be this on-site person now will be full-time here.
100% dedicated to these numbers.
Job description, when you had that ready, can you give that to us?
Sure.
Can you put comp in the job description or not?
They put a range, I don't.
That's fine, range is
I think
fine.
it's a range, but,
I
yeah.
can circulate that in different circles.
Sure.
Other people can use.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
So you can work remotely all the time then?
I'll say 98% of the time, because part of what I'll do is bringing on new clients, and they have done it before. They have sent me out on site to help, because a couple of them have been self-managed for X amount of years, and those are always fun. And I also help with sales calls, so they'll send me every once in a while for that.
One request?
Yeah.
Can you see the audit through to completion?
Yes, of course.
That could take 2 years.
I'm sure it all. Let that come trust you, it's gonna hang around your neck and stink, so you're gonna take care of it.
So when we get to that part, I'll have some updates.
Okay,
I just hope so.
okay, let's move on.
2026 hour.
Yeah. All right, let's go into the December preliminary financial review.
Just as a reminder, of course, you guys are well aware that this was preliminary. We have not finished all of the scrubbing that we need to do. A lot of it has been done. I can tell you with certainty that the income is good.
A lot of it's been done since the preliminary.
And well, there's even more been done since preliminary's gone up, yeah, so, but it gives you, but I can tell you what you're looking at for the preliminary, the income, is good. I don't think there's any more dollars coming in or coming out.
So that, in December included the 3 lots here in Island Village that they added.
The plat was it two A?
2A, I mean, there's a phase 2A, yeah, the 82.
That's
It's
right.
included here. Okay.
Yes.
Which that 82 was the 62,000.
There's a little bit of
Or something.
it's not quite, it doesn't add up to 62, that 62 includes a lot of things, I just basically go back to the beginning of the year and I audit the whole thing, and make sure everyone was charged correctly, including trash like it's supposed to be, and all the conveyances were done correctly, all that stuff, so there's a little more than that, but yeah, that captures.
So that driver was majority from December activity, not anything that you found prior.
Cause I do the checks throughout the year, but not as intensely, as I do right now, obviously. Yeah,
Okay, just kind of going through some of the numbers. Obviously, landscaping and path and parks exceeding budget 3,000 certainly hurt the numbers in December. I guess there's nothing really relevant other than they did a lot of work.
So I can speak a little bit to that. There is some hurricane cleanup that was tied to the passive parks in the December. And I found 2 small invoices that should have been coded to reserves that Jennifer I just notified her yesterday afternoon that needed to be corrected.
Okay.
But you
Okay.
do have to remember that the exquisite contract is higher than the Prince and Sons contract. So there's naturally going to be an overage.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I know the pool repairs, the heater issues are driving some of those expenses, that are occurring, unfortunately.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. Every pool decided to break in December, so.
Yeah. Well,
Thanks, I
All
need
two.
to-
Our instance, our instance here went down and the hospitals went down as well. So every heating pool went down in this town. Yes.
okay.
It's not just this town, a lot of people, why is that? It's December.
They
We
run
also
out.
had a ladder repair and the handicap chair repair at Spring Lake.
Okay. Okay. I guess we just kind of missed the Ecolab bill and,
So I accrued some, just didn't accrue enough.
okay,
They weren't, that was about when the contract started, and we didn't
Right.
have invoices yet, so,
so,
so I kind of guessed back in October.
okay.
Yes.
Repairs and maintenance is over budget by 17,000. Most of it was for 851, 7,600.
I can
Wow.
speak to that. There was electrical work done at the Nev Bay to charge the Nevs. And there was a door repair. In the Island Village, there was a miscoded invoice for 2750. In Spring Park, there was a water line repair, and in the passive parks, there were light repairs at Bocce.
Okay. Okay. The property taxes, do we not budget that? Typically,
Is that all property tax? Is that
yeah, it's all
right?
property tax based upon what I saw.
Okay.
Yeah,
I recall, I believe it is budgeted, because I know for 2025, I think we put 16,000 for taxes.
yeah, that's what I thought too, so, but it didn't look like we budgeted it a year ago. Which I'm surprised at because,
It's budgeted for 15 for the year.
oh, okay, all right, okay. Got it,
There is in that 35, there's a little bit for sales and use tax, but most of it is property.
yeah, okay. Yeah, I saw there was some property tax filing that. I was kind of surprised at. Architects for hire totaled about 6,000 in December. Hopefully that'll start to get lower in 25, so we hit the budget.
Is somebody gonna provide some kind of parameters to Jeffrey that he should be holding to a certain level or some guidance? Tell him what the
That's been provided to Danica, to the ARC chair, and to the board liaison as well. And Jeffrey himself. So moving forward, you should see some standardization to keep within the budget.
And there's an expectation for the ARC chair to work with the board liaison on what should be going to the town architect executive, so there is.
And that goes for Albert Riddle too?
Yes, so before
Okay.
we go to Albert or Jeffrey, we require written confirmation from the chair and the board liaison to push something to them. And moving forward, I've asked that those written confirmations be attached to the bill when it's paid, so we can line those up.
Do we get an estimate of work, of cost from them? Prior to starting?
Yes, the board approved a services agreement with an hourly rate. I don't remember the specific rate off the top of my head, but I can provide that to you.
That's not what I was getting at. If we assign him a task, does he give you a cost estimate for that task before he engages or do it?
No, there's no cost estimate before he's assigned a task.
Okay.
But it's gotta operate within the spot, so he's gotta be prudent about what he's doing, or he's not gonna be able to do anything.
But yeah, I guess with that process, if there's, say, 5 projects in ARC that need to be reviewed, is there a preliminary that goes to the town architect to send it back saying it's gonna be $5,000 or $3,000, whatever? And then it's okay, or is it just, we need you for these 5 projects,
That's what.
here's my bill after the fact?
That's what I'm concerned.
Is that, but before it was, if any member during the ARC review of the committee felt they wanted input, they would just say, let's get input. So it was a lot more going to. Now there's a lot more structure to limit what's going out.
Right, that was one control that was put in place, which was positive, but to the point, we're kind of having a blank check still, which I know we have a budget for the year, but if something, say through 9 months out of the year, if we blow through that budget, then are there no RFPs for the rest of the year? How do you handle those situations? So,
Yeah, you would think they would at least ask and say, how many hours do you think this is gonna take?
Yeah.
And then we can calculate.
Art should be management from the standpoint of looking at monthly and then, extrapolating that and saying, okay, if we're spending this much this month and it's gonna happen the same for the next 11 months, we're gonna be way over budget, so we've got to control this. And then quarterly, they should look at it even more carefully.
the issue is it possible, you know what the budget is, you know what the hourly rate is, here's the expectation of how many hours of town exec work you get a month. How you allocate it for different things coming in the door, that's gonna vary, but stick to, this is what you're allocated and say,
The issue is we don't see a constant input on applications. They very much flow. So in that sense, the numbers can't be lined up too well.
But if we say, right now with our budget, that average is 10 hours of architecture work. Okay, 2 in January, 2 in February, 15 in March, I don't care how it's broken up, just that they're sticking to the budget and maybe the quarterly checkpoint to make sure that they're not way over something.
The more granular you can get with the committee and with Jeffrey, the better it'll be. It won't be perfect, but it'll synthesize that a little bit more.
Jacob, maybe we should add a budget conversation with ARC at the front of their meeting, just so they know where they're at in terms of hours of use with Albert.
Year-to-date status, absolutely.
We can let them know that they don't have to use all of it.
Right. We're not the government.
Yeah.
Use it or lose it.
Okay, one more on just finance, so I know you make an entry for that 806,000 on the replacement fund to make it balance out. Where's the offset of that entry?
25, balance sheet. I was about to say,
Oh.
like I said, balance sheet. It's the, contract liability deferred reserve fund revenue line.
Okay. Yeah, I see that. Which is now 2.
Right.
So that just grows and grows, it doesn't really mean anything, or does it?
Which
is it-
doesn't mean anything.
Are we supposed to?
Just a switch at the end of the year. They carry it over.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it doesn't grow. I mean, we put money in, it grows, but things will be coming out of there. It's still available, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
just an accounting
funky.
rule that says that you
Yeah.
can't treat reserves as a surplus, it's a liability. It's just.
Yeah.
So,
Pretty sad. Okay. Yeah, and I guess, do you, on the replacement and capital fund, do you have like an annual ledger of everything?
well, of course, there's always an annual,
Yes.
here's.
Here's where I'm a little lost is, we're reporting a capital funds year-to-date surplus of $870,000. The capital inflows are your capital allocations of $685 and your capital resale assessment of $414, so that's about $1.1 million. Capital fund projects, just the two off the top of the head were Spring Park Playground, which was $354, and the capital report was about $81,000. So
There was also 18,000 for reserve park landscaping that was going to capital. There was 72,000 for the sun shade structures. And 33,000 for the Nissan truck.
right, so there's more, it's always taking
That's
that.
568, but we only showing expense of 200 and some thousand on the capital.
Capital show
Yes.
200,000.
So I was looking at.
About $1 million coming in.
If now there's already 400,000 up, then that takes out the capital resale assessment. If the allocation is 685, how do we have a surplus of 878? So if you can get us some type of breakdown of what capital inflows and outflows over the year, so we better understand what that number is being reported for the end of the year.
Well, just the reconciliation, just so you know, I did the reconciliation. It appeared, if you just take the original balance, what is being shown as income, 1,099,000, and then the 221,000 of expense, that comes down to 4.2 million. That's 131,000 over what the actual balance is for the capital fund of 4,070,000. So it does appear that there's some expenses missing in the financials because it's not tied to
Or it's a different,
balance.
it's either it's pulled from replacement or was pulled from operating.
I'll be happy to send this to you, because again, if you have you're showing 221,000 expense. I mean, Spring Park Playground, maybe some of the expense was last year, I don't remember, but that's 354,000 alone.
Oh, you're doing your own based on the projects.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And so,
What was that
Either
located?
existing expenses or they were paid in previous years, what you're saying.
well, yeah, but even if it's just the truck,
Truck, the playground, and Cali, that's all 2024.
yeah, sunshade structures, 72,000.
Well, I have such
So-
at 69.
Okay,
You know,
I.
Vehicle is
understand.
close enough.
Yeah, yeah.
But I guess can you show us how you got to the 878 number?
Of course.
And that's what we just are curious about.
there's that P and L breakout right at the end of the section.
There is a P&L, but
For
if you're
capital
wanting
fund.
more details as
And
far as
what-
what's in there.
Goes right to the 878.
What page is that?
14?
17.
Oh, 17, sorry.
17.
Right, so that's the one where it's only shown 221,000 expense. We've had a lot more we've had more capital.
So that's all that's been recorded from the financial.
Right, but that's off 130,000 from what the actual balance is.
And again,
So if you do the calculation of the beginning balance plus the income plus the
You're
expense,
just thinking that there's something might be missing.
Yeah.
So we got to accrue for something or it was paid previously. So what I'll do is once I've made all the changes that Lauren gave me from yesterday, those few, just to make sure, I can print out a year-to-date GL for just the capital and compare it.
You think it's off by one, Jim?
130,000.
There's a-
Also, in one of our previous meetings, we said we were going to allocate the interest expense on, in three funds based on the investment balances. And I know they did that in the 23 report. It's all broken down. I don't see it broken down in our numbers.
In 2024, it was budgeted that all the interest goes to operating.
Yeah.
So every month I move the interest earned from capital and reserves and send it to operating. That's why you're seeing a very nice interest income in operating.
Right. On the balance
But
sheet,
that's not where it belongs, though. It might have been budgeted there, but that's not where it belongs.
we've argued this every year.
Yeah.
We could vote on it again, but last time we voted on it for this year, we decided it was going to operating.
Yeah.
But we could talk about it again, right?
Yeah.
they're going back to page 17, right?
Yeah.
Playgrounds are 9,000 for the year, which Spring Park Playground knows much higher than that. So I requested that adjustment be done in December. Was that completed by you guys?
I guess I need more details. I can't just make an adjustment.
So then look at the Spring Park Playground, what is replacement, what is reserve, that was approved by the board, and what was done.
Is this referring to what you asked me about last time? Because last time you determined that some of this was paid in the previous month.
Well, you're looking year to date, he's looking.
Yeah, not in the year to date.
Okay.
Yeah, no, there was another transaction, I think that needed to be
And
happened.
this looks a little funky, you better approve this, but the question, the tie is, why do we have a due from operating fund to the capital fund for 171,000 from the balance sheet?
Because there's not enough cash at the end of the year operating to make all those transfers.
Okay, explain that to me.
Look at the cash balance in operating.
So,
No, not that view, the actual balance sheet.
Yeah, yeah,
cash.
It's
something 40,000, yeah.
very little.
Well, some of it's in Truist, that's
Yeah,
That's the
you
money.
gotta look at CIT only.
107, yeah, CIP only. It's only 10,000, yeah. We got 107,000 at regions yet.
I can't control regions.
Can we close that?
No,
Why not? Oh, we said we were going.
Not charged.
There were liquor license and other stuff, but that's why it was just.
Oh, really? So we believe it?
Yeah.
Laura, does it still need to be open, Regions?
We don't really use it for much. We can start using our own cards and just submitting reimbursement forms, but just the caveat on that one is if I use my personal debit card to pay for a music license, then I'm getting reimbursement from GM and they're charging you a 5% on
No,
top of
no,
that.
no. I should do reimbursements. I meant for the Regions, the only activity that happens on it is a service charge monthly.
No,
So-
we use it to do music licenses and liquor licenses because they only accept MasterCard.
Oh, you're talking about that Regions credit card.
Yeah. Uh-huh. That's why that's why that account was still
Mhm.
kept open. So it's a calculated thing for you guys. If you want to maintain money in the Regions account for that.
Controlled.
Well,
Oh, but yeah.
Lauren, why don't we, it's got 171,000 in it. Let's get it down to the level it should be at. Maybe we need to keep it open. But we don't need $171,000 in there.
I know the 10,000 was the minimum for the local store one, but yeah, the other one's probably 10 or 20,000 minimum, just so we don't incur additional fees and stuff, so.
Yeah, hit that threshold and then we can feed it if we need it, but.
But do you need two? One of them just be maintained. open.
Regions?
I think you
No,
need
it's
one
smart.
account.
There is two.
Yeah, we don't need, if you don't need both,
No.
I think you should definitely close the one that's giving you a service charge. Not this massive, but you know, it's still $8.
And you certainly don't need more than $5,000 in that account because we don't spend more than $5,000 on liquor licenses and movie licenses each year.
So let's close whatever one we don't get a service charge with and then get the cash out of the other one.
Well, can we not get a MasterCard at Truist or CIT?
I think I think that's the matter.
I mean, that's a very good question.
Right, I mean, that's the case, then you know, get that card, set it up, and then set cards.
MasterCard.
Close out.
Suntrust, the old ones.
So,
They-
so Andrew, it's
Never used
a force control bank, so you need to.
No, I know, I'm just saying, the reason they're open was operations for Grand Matters. And tonight it's that you need a MasterCard. So is there other MasterCards you can get with our business relationships that we have, banking relationships?
Suntrust issues
And
a
if so, then
master.
open that up and then upon that being open, then you can transition. the
Yeah.
accounts.
Easy with.
So Jacob, can you put bank accounts as a discussion on the agenda for next week?
Yes.
Thank you.
But that answers why I couldn't transfer money.
Understand.
December is typically, and it's not just Crowa, it's just about anybody who has quarterly assessments.
Yeah.
And you're running a deficit or a very close budget tend to get a little tight.
Well, we made it and obviously a lot of money will be coming in now, so that'll plump up real quick.
But there's lots of money in there now, but it also has to last for the whole quarter, so. I don't wanna just be like, oh, here's $170,000 just for the heck of it. I mean, I want to, but, because I like the balance sheet clean, but.
And another thing about the regions was they had better rates than Truist on their money markets. So that's why there was splits, because you never know which one was gonna lower their teaser rate or their rates quicker than the other one. So you did have that flexibility of going back and forth if someone went from 4% down to 1%, but the other guy still was at 3.5%.
Can you keep the money market one open as the one that stays open and for the purpose of this card, close the rest of it?
I would say, I'm not sure. I'm sure they probably have, you need a checking and then after the checking, you go.
Truist has a good rate on the money market. They've been holding it and checking them against synchrony on a quarterly
But he's
basis.
saying Regions was better at the time.
Oh, okay. I don't look at regions. So it's.
I mean, it's not huge. It's maybe 15, 25 basis points. So it's not huge. Too, but just flexibility between who might start dropping their rate before the others. But yeah, from Grand Matters perspective, if the only reason Regions is there because of MasterCard, then I think that's more discussion of open MasterCard at one of our other banking relationships.
Suntrust, right?
My mouth's not working, surgery. My mouth's not working.
Okay, any other comments about December financials? at this point?
I'd like to celebrate the fact that water was under budget for the year. So we had 4 problems on them, children. Landscaping, pools, with repair and maintenance, and water. And water graduated this year. And from that, the water is in the pool. No pun intended.
Well, our income was up too.
Yeah, the 56,000 that is the overage in the CJC transfer or the CJC performance, that's year to date now, does that get cleared back to us?
Yes.
Okay, so 56 will hit the P.
CJC's not filing it either.
Yeah, but
But,
that'll click.
but what'll happen is the same percentage that Canoa and
Yeah.
Broke was in,
Yeah.
will come back, yeah,
There's no separate P and L for canola,
there is.
is it?
Yeah, they got the whole package, just like this,
Really?
just smaller.
You get their 20 out.
But yeah, they, Canoa, there's their whole billing and everything, all the businesses and stuff, they gotta pay their assessments to Canoa. Yeah. All that, they pay bills.
Yeah, comment
I
on
guess.
December going to year end. Obviously, 2024 didn't have the employee benefits plan, which is about 91,000 that we started in the hole for the year. And with the town architect and eco labs and rent for brand manager and all kinds of other stuff, could only be 15,000 worse off than where we started. I would consider that pretty positive overall. So
Well, I would also add that the board had approved major spending for mulch and pine straw.
It's just 2 mulch.
To be that much closer as well.
$100,000 per mulch.
majority of that came out of the last thing.
No, only 90, okay, wrong done.
Well, with the changes that we've already found, that Lauren already found yesterday, that'll definitely bring us under 100. And then through more scrubbing, maybe we'll find a few more things, and then of course with CJC, maybe we'll get lucky on.
Probably 30 or 35,000 for it.
Should be.
Yeah, could be. It's 56 now, we're getting 70% of it.
Hey, Jen, I have a question for you.
No, I meant the bottom line for Crowa, not how much,
So I was saying the input.
how much coming from CJC. I got you, yes. I apologize, Tina, go ahead.
That's okay. So all the entries that are listed in that 2023 report, the audit adjustments, when do they get recorded?
When the audit has been approved by the board,
Okay.
right now we can't even get it.
They'll be
approved by the
2026.
committee.
We don't have anything to prove, what do you mean?
Yeah.
We saw 1 draft, I can hardly wait to hear the update.
Okay, any other discussion items for December? If not, we'll move to the 23 audit.
So Seth and I were on the phone yesterday for about an hour. It took me that from the last time we spoke to, yes, last night to finally get a hold of him. And, but mostly it was because he felt bad as going to be here today, but he says, he goes, I know that you need updates and you have questions, blah, blah. He goes, we gotta get through all of this before they, what did he say? Before they tear into me. I went, okay, that's fair.
Who's thanks? Us.
Yeah.
We've already done that. We just haven't seen it.
So we talked about it, several of the questions, for example, the stale checks. And he goes, that is a generic statement that we put on every audit. And I went, well, it's not appropriate, take it off. So he's gonna take it off. We talked about a lot of the different adjustment entries. He said there was errors and some of them that they're refixing it. I challenged quite a few of them. He's removing a lot of the service area ones that I said, these are not, I said, these are wrong. This is why we talked through those. So those are coming off. The one that they put on there for presentation, that's coming off. Because I said, we're not making that entry. That was the board directed way to show the covenant findings. I'm like, so I'm not gonna move it. And then I also argued, I said, it's already in accounts receivable. So moving the deferred to accounts receivable makes some sense. It's already there. So what I put is it's instead of income is I put it in deferred. Like, so your entry doesn't even make sense. So we went through quite a lot of those. So basically at the end of the conversation is I'm supposed to get a date from you guys. He's gonna move his whole schedule around to make it work with whatever you guys can do so that he can come in or call in so we can go through it. He wants to get I call it a draft 2 because I'm not gonna call it a final yet. By next week. Well, he said by tomorrow, but we'll see. I said, you have an emergency, how can you make a promise, like within 24 hours, you know? But, get a draft too to look at, but it sounds like it will be down to very few entries. I do still expect the entry regarding, cumulative depreciation and allowance for bad debt, you know, those typical things, I don't have a problem. You know, those, that make sense. But a lot of the other ones that we all found together, were just really. So if you guys choose a date, I'm gonna get back with him.
So we'll call it draft 2, you're expecting that tomorrow?
That's what he said.
So I think, I would say for us, we shouldn't schedule anything until we take a look at that draft 2, because the draft 2 hasn't really changed. There's no point in meeting up, that we should be meeting up with as close to a final version as possible. And if that's a couple weeks out, so be it, but
Okay.
Well, I think we can do at least a preliminary, just since we have everybody here.
Put it on this calendar, but you cancel it
Yeah,
if draft 2 doesn't meet our threshold,
That's true.
I agree.
We can do that.
because we're here right now.
So the week of the 27th, and I think we're talking 27, 28, or 29, based upon what I saw in the emails today.
Yeah, because I was just pitching that week. So you have one day preference over another.
is it the 29th as a candidate form? 6 8.
6 o'clock at night.
Okay, so not the,
I'm just saying, let's think that week.
The 28th, Tuesday? We'll just at least tentatively put it on the 28th and then we'll go from there. Okay. See what happens.
5:30.
5:30, so I heard.
And then, yeah, hopefully it's Friday, it's either on Friday, or no later than middle of next week, you know, that the draft gets distributed to the employees.
he did admit that the two people that were both on this account, both quit on him. So they quit. So then there goes your, well, why didn't we get notice? So you're absolutely right. But he said he's getting one of his guys that have been with him for like 8 or 9 years and has been doing this for 20 years or something like that to assign to this account so that we don't have this problem again. So he
Talk to him, from my perspective, I'd like you to tell him that we're gonna have this meeting on the 28th. But he needs to come to that meeting prepared to not only get that audit done, but deliver the other one per the contract, which is July 31st, I believe, or end of July, something like that.
I did,
Whatever the
we
contract.
did talk about that, you know, he said, we're gonna just start on yours right away, and I'm like, I don't know how you're gonna start on ours, if I haven't even finished it. He goes, well, you know what I mean, and I'm like, oh.
We having the same conversations to fix that.
He's spreading.
Finish it 20.
You guys tell me what you want to hear right now.
It could be,
Well, that's the thing too, where I don't care if you lose 2 associates, if you're the boss, it falls on you to take care of it. So you either need to redirect it to your associates or you need to take it on yourself. So
What's his level of conversation partner?
I don't know if they call it a partner or president, owner, but I got the impression he's the owner, so.
Okay, there were 2 people who came and presented to us. They were kind of like the 2 top there. I remember, was one named Seth, Lauren, do you remember that?
Yeah.
Was Seth in that initial
You
presentation?
had a named partner and then you had a junior partner.
I don't remember who was.
I don't know which one Seth is, but he's one of them.
Seth is the junior partner.
There you go.
He may be higher up now, but he was a junior partner when he interviewed.
I've had a lot of people. Who knows?
Well, he comes in the industry, I don't know if it's true or not, that he was like, oh, the rules have just changed so much, in 2025 is gonna be even worse, blah, 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 and everyone's quitting, getting out of this industry, and I'm like, Sorry,
That's true.
so,
You already see it.
sorry.
Start polishing off your AI. Yeah.
You can't handle it, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. If you want to really get him, tell Seth, this is meeting's gonna be 28th. We want you to bring your boss along too. You want to really send him a signal because we're gonna talk about timing on these audits because we haven't been on time yet.
And he's more excited the fact that he won Village Walk.
Request his boss to come along. He probably will have some reason why he can't come, but that'll send him a signal. That'll send Seth a message.
Okay. Any other discussions on the audit? We'll see when we get the phase 2. All right, with the new capital fee, I just want to get a couple updates. I mean, Osceola County is all set with this now, as far as their knowledge of it? As far as house closings and things like that?
It was recorded with the county on the 2nd fully. It was filed on the 30th, recorded fully on the 2nd. And Syrinet has been updated, so when any estoppels go out, they are notified of the new assessment rate.
Okay. But I guess it would be if within the financial system, every month we could have a monitoring of.
So I sent
Outstanding.
a request over to the conveyance firm because I see how much this particular house paid for the capital, but I don't see how much it's sold for to compare the numbers. So I sent an email asking if there was a report that they could provide to us so that we can double check that. You're not alone in doing a percentage on sales as far as conveyance, the sort of working capital fee. That's, it's not super common, but it's out there. So yeah, so I know that they do it. I know they do it routinely, but I know that you guys would like to just kind of, trust but verify. So.
Yeah, what I look for is simply every month, the total amount, what the total prices were. Times the capital fee, this is the amount.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I know how many were sold and I know how much we earned. I just don't necessarily know how much the house is sold. So that's the missing piece I'm trying to figure out.
Okay.
So that we can provide it to you.
That report,
Which one?
what are you just talking about?
The conveyance team.
Okay.
Mhm. The ones that do these documents and all that stuff.
Should be public.
Lauren, did we notify the real estate people,
If I went on public record every month and.
the local real estate agents and so on, just so they're aware?
Yes, they've all been in contact with town hall and they were informed of the filing date.
I'm sure it's in here. I just gotta be. able to find it. There's hundreds of reports in here, just knowing which number it is, that's all.
But they, once the month end runs, give me all the sales in 4747, and then we can knock out the address to get the sale price. And it's an easy, look up and,
Do we have to sign off on the estoppel before they can close a home sale?
So the estoppel requests usually the governing documents, the master association insurance, the resale assessment, and among other things, any covenants violations on the property. Everything after that is a negotiation between the buyer and the seller. So you could potentially sell your home with $20,000 worth of covenants fines, and the buyer could say, I'll accept that and fix them upon closing.
Right. So, and we have to accept that then and sign off on the estoppel vote, so it's clear.
No, we don't sign off on the estoppel. Once we've informed them, whatever their agreement is our enforcement mechanism. We can go after either the seller or the buyer.
Okay, any other discussion? Any other topics? Not on here, anybody? Okay. Okay, recurring action discussion items, review of the T-bills.
Couple months before they come and do.
Yeah.
April's the next one, May,
Um,
February 20th.
February, around.
The reserve fund cash got a little low. Just letting you know, so depending on how many expenses are gonna come out, we may need to transfer some of the reserve money. I don't know, I just have to get with Lauren and Jacob just to know, it's like, just as a cash flow point of view. The cash that's physically sitting in CIT versus all of the reserve money.
Well, yeah, if you need that February one to mature and move into the account, then let's not randomly roll them over.
I just need to see what's,
Yeah, these are all things, because for example, if the splash pad gets approved within a couple of months, that means probably 600,000 to come out of the capital fund in 6 months or 7 months.
capital cash is fine.
Got 900,000.
Off count.
Yeah, it would be all
We
counts.
do have,
It's just to make sure if we're gonna have to take one of the bond, the, treasury bonds.
Right.
Well, I'm thinking of what we're gonna pay for town hall, whenever that is 2025, that's gonna be.
Right, I know that was coming up, but I just meant like,
we do have one that just came up today from the dog park committee that's going to the dog park town hall on February 11th, resodding the dog park up at $40,000. They, for both, and that is not funded. The sod line for that is not funded till 2032, but it's funded $190,000 then. It's pulling early, but it's very early.
They're gonna reset it now.
That's to discussion at the dog park town hall. Most likely, I expect that they will.
Okay.
But it's reserved, it's just reserved way in the future.
Correct. I don't know, say it's a very high amount.
Very
well, just because they say yes, that doesn't mean it's gonna happen.
Well,
But I just want to make sure you guys are aware that the cash was a little short, for December. It's been fixed with some IOUs that needed to happen. So I'll be reviewing it again towards the end, just with what's coming up, and then I'll communicate with you guys, say this is where we're at, if you want me to cash something or not.
Well, I think Andrew said, but maybe we should just let that February one in the replacement fund not renew. It's 267,000.
Yeah, if you have to worry about any use, then I think the February one matures, you put that in the account, so
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about.
That's that how so.
yeah, right, lapse and go into the account and then it's down.
I'll
the road.
build it up to $300,000 or $400,000.
Unless you find that money was pulled from replacement for spring park playground or something else, that capital should be pulled into replacement, something of that. nature.
Right.
So that's another thing you look at.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, we'll review it and then I'll circle back.
Because where we're capital, we have $1 million in CIT, so. Yeah, some to work with, it truly is an expense that should be.
Right.
Okay, the 2025 reserve items.
So we sent you those documents, including the landscaping and the broken out of what is in the reserve for the 2025. On a high level. We expect our reserves to be, I'm just trying to put where we expected the reserves to be at the end of the year last year, so because they're lower than expected, I know. Lauren, the document that you put together with the three, or for the reserve items, did you have any discussion you wanted to start on that, or?
No,
I
I
know we-
think they're just items to be aware of, that these are items that were scheduled for reserves. There are some that are scheduled for full replacement that may not need to be full replacements. There are some that are scheduled for partial replacements that I believe will be partial. It's just a shortcut version of looking at the reserve setting and seeing what's slated for 2025 in terms of bulk numbers that's not related to landscaping, because we've separated that out with the landscaping plan that Jacob and Christian and Brian put together. but these are just upcoming anticipated expenditures that we'll be analyzing throughout the year.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to note was we did have, I mean, if we look at the reserve funding plan, the newest one that we just did this fall, the anticipated year-end balance for the reserve study at the end of 2025 was just over 2 million. I think we ended at 1.2 million, so about 800 shorter than where the anticipated was, with the expected contribution 2025 at a much higher amount of the 1.4 million. And our allocated contribution is only 594,000.
2025,
That's the.
Yeah, but that's
not
not 24, that's 24.
that's 20.
That was a payback from a future previous entry. It's $1 million.
1 million, so 400 shorter than the.
It's a million two in the bank. We're in the replacement fund now, so it'll be a 2.2 at the end of 25,
Mhm.
less the expenses.
But a lot of that is because historically, celebration has not ever met the reserve fund spending. So I have a question for this list that you've put together. I mean, how is it determined? Because this is one line in the reserve study, right? The landscaping.
Yes, just the landscape document, okay.
So you've got, 277,000 taking out East Village Greens, Long Meadow Playground, you're 230,000. How is this just something that Exquisite came up with and said, these are all the things that we think you need to do, and here's the cost?
This
We
was
just
a-
are accepting it?
No, this was a collective based on some of our very first park ratings when I started here and then when Christian jumped on as well. And there were some of those proposals were already existing of projects that we know have been identified as need or like to be done. And then we looked at the list of after reviewing all of our parks, looked at them to say, okay, how do we arrange these or pull more? And those are the ones that were selected to be looked at, pulled.
So
On that.
on reserve, line item 1.06 is the landscaping, which for 2025 is $206,600.
Mhm.
I believe through the first 3 quarters, that allocates to about 160,000. So that's the plan of bringing those parks in our community back up to a celebration standard we're looking at things. Then Q4, I think, is where we're looking at what should be done or what may have to be pushed back to the following year, plus the ones that he already pulled off that go far beyond what is currently budgeted. And again, 2026 is budgeted for 213, 2027 is budgeted for 220 for the reserve. So for that area, I see that as kind of like one line item that we as a community can work with to do things for the parks. This that was produced that I think is in the right direction of a combination of active and passive parks, but knowing full and well there's a threshold that you can only do so much.
That was kind of my goal with creating the document was to bring visibility of that kind of recommended spend of the 206,000. Kind of letting them know that is really what we don't want to. We should really try not to spend over that in 2025 because we had a trend in 2024 that was not reviewing that number in regards to spending. Now we have a fair amount of residents that I get calls all the time about the park in front of their house. So what are we going to do with their park? They want action now. We know that we can't fix every park this month. Also, just for one, spending, two, just logistics on team. That layout specifically was designed to work with the seasons, with Exquisite and install with their team that is feasible, as well as a document that bringing it to the board level on a monthly basis allows me to respond to these residents saying, I see your park is on the list. It might not be till Q4 2025, but it is not forgotten. But we can't do them all. And that has helped a lot in those conversations.
Yeah.
The issue is now we're already we don't have any allotment really till Q2 or Q3 2026. If anything else needs to get at it, but
Understood. I guess if, plus, these are all estimates, right? And so we have to make sure, because Exquisite hasn't signed and said, this is exactly what we'll charge you for this, right? So, I mean, we've got to monitor this even as we go, because if they start billing us more, because they say, oh, we found out more plants were dead or flowers were missing or whatever. So we've got to monitor it and just keep track of it.
Yeah. We have.
They don't bill us more. If they estimate something at a cost and they find out they need more plants, they eat that.
Okay,
We did have that happen at Long Meadow with a section that was short, it just came up short. And that they accept that their estimate was incorrect and they eat the difference in the additional planning.
all right. All right.
But I'm not sure it can always be increased on the next one. That's
Scrolling down into the details here, I just wanted to touch on, I sent out that note, I just want to touch on the, kind of the big picture, and do we have the right numbers in here on a global basis, a holistic basis? The two items that are goofy is obviously the A51 with that $930,000 in there or so, and then the fields for $454,000. I think we've talked about, I know we've talked about the A51 being capital. And already capital anyway, because we're gonna be doing a remodel and rehab of that facility. It's gonna extend the useful life and you can put it in capital regardless. So it's gonna be the right place to go. It's gonna be all the equipment and whatever else.
And that does help.
So the 930 then's got to come out of that 2.4 or whatever it is, 2.5 number this year. So you pull that out. I would say that the 454, it's not my decision, but the 454 for the fields, I would never spend that money in the fields. I wouldn't. I think we spent way too much money in the fields already. We've got the wrong soils. Yeah, they're gonna put in some kind of drainage system with some pipes, kind of a French drain type concept, I guess. And with the bad soils we have, it doesn't perk, so you're gonna get, wherever you have the pipes, you're gonna get just around that pipe, you're gonna get a little bit of dryness. But then the underground is just gonna be a puddle. So the only thing you can do is put a whole grid in there real close together to collect the water, which isn't practical. We're not gonna do that. And by the way, Lauren, I think they've said, no, we're not gonna guarantee this system we're recommending either, right? Yeah, so it's about the dumbest thing in the world you might do. You know, it's just adding, if you wanna have a good time, start a fire outside, throw money in there and watch it burn. Because that's what the fields will come down to. And oh, by the way, I noticed that the fields only had $46,000 worth of income this year. And I thought that was supposed to be like 60 or something in that range. So it's about
They were
14.
shut down, quite a bit this year because of the start stop of repairing them and resodding them.
They paid us less money then?
Yes, we give them a break on their monthly rent if based on the number of days they're allowed to use it.
They can't.
A monthly rent that is $60,000 and a $300,000 maintenance cost for the fields for a year.
It's like part of that their contract, the partnership contract agreement. If we can't provide them if we can't provide them the field that is,
At a third discount. If we can't provide them a field at a third discount of what it costs us to maintain, then we have to get punished again for it. It's still a hell of a way to run a business. All right, I'm gonna get off.
Well, maybe stay there for a second, but on the CCFC fields, is it time that it seriously needs to be considered of, do we sell it to CCDA and they manage it, or do we do a land lease and they manage it, so it's no longer a Crow responsibility?
No sense discussing that. That's not gonna be our decision.
But I guess along those lines, that's where I think it's appropriate that it might be time to get appraisals for various land that we have to see if it makes sense to look for selling it to them, or at a board level, do you just do a land lease, some sort of agreement?
Well, you're also making a lot more money when you're renting it out to the external groups, but a prior board put an end to that. And close the fields for open use to residents as well.
we reopened that discussion this fall as well with the Parks and Rec Committee or the board. I feel like it was with the Parks and Rec Committee, and it was they kept the motion to not open it up for.
Lauren, what was the revenue on that?
I will have to look, but I know we were getting a good portion of revenue because there was a Disney exec game there every weekend. There was a,
Yeah, it was
A-
tournaments and
yeah, there were
overflow.
tournaments and other stuff and overflow from ESPN Sports. So I can go back to prior years and pull that for you because I know that ended in 2022.
What's the reasoning for ending it?
There was,
Parking?
Vandalism.
Severe vandalism in the bathrooms.
And we thought it was an outside person that did it. It was actually somebody who lived in the town. We thought by closing it down, that we wouldn't have outside people coming in and vandalize the property, but it was somebody in town. And then we didn't prosecute or do anything with that person either, did we?
and there was additional some rowdy groups, and they, in tournaments used are extremely hard on the field, so it does take more downtime and recovery. Not that can't be compensated from the expense of it, but it does then affect the partner programs, which the Parks and Rec Committee has to evaluate that relationship.
Marco had a heart attack because we had the Christmas concert out there in the fields.
But he did mention in the Special Events Committee that it was well ran and there was no issues with the stage.
He checked it out. He
Yeah.
checked it out and gave it a passing grade.
Yes.
Good, that's good. The guy who's getting a $60,000 deal on a $300,000 maintenance contract, and he's got exclusive use to it.
Yeah, which in short, something has to change for that field.
I think so.
Work
That's
with,
a tip.
work with the county and they put in something, or you work with them, or just open it to private rentals and make your way down. It's gotta be one or the other.
I like the idea though, because we can take this terrible deal that we've got and just give that to CDD and let it be their problem.
Right.
Or we're gonna have to sell them at a discount.
Well, we're a land lease and take it for free.
You think they're gonna take it?
Or how about something?
I mean, I think that goes into more master planning thing of civic quarter, and should probably even be in business up there. Or is that something that, you know what, that needs to be a regional park for Osceola and not something that's just celebration exclusive, because our dog park is trash. It's a dirt pit. And the fields are draining us so much money over the past 5
Right,
years.
if they had put that AstroTurf in the very beginning, there wouldn't have been any of these problems.
Well, as you saw it develop with the owner's rep and everything else, and it went from 2.6, 2.7 million, was approaching 4 million. And they're talking about astroturfing all the fields. Someone hollered, stop, this is lunacy, which I think was right.
Well, like I've suggested, you go to Orlando Pride, tell them you'll put their logo on the field, and make a tribute to it. So, just saying,
They're building a big thing on Osceola Heritage Park or something.
well, they got money.
The Wilson, well, the owner of the soccer teams now is the Wilfs of Minnesota. They own the Minnesota Vikings. And they have taken down the property of an Osceola Heritage Park or whatever it's called up there. And they're gonna build a complete practice thing out there, facilities, indoor, the whole thing. They're gonna probably put $500 million in out there. So you're not gonna get them, they
But
got,
again, there's still pro athletes practicing at Celebration Basketball High School and college kids coming to the football field. So there's still a draw there. There's still an opportunity somewhere that we have to find some solution that actually works rather than continuing to bleed.
all right,
60 degrees every year.
let me finish this. So that's the fields. So we know that the 930 is gonna come out. Leave the 400 in, leave it out, I don't know, for the fields. But if you look at where we would be at the end of 2025 with the million going in and the 1,200,000 we have, that's 2.2. Take out the 450, you're at 1,600,000 at the end of 2025. So that then would give us an ending balance of 593,000. We reach the end of 2025. Okay, for the fields in. So that's where we are for that year. And then if you put 1,225,000, I say, for the next 2 years, that would give us over those 2 years, $3 million. And right now in the schedule, those 2 years have 2,700,000 in them.
Okay.
So we'd be adequately funded.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can dig into all the details and everything else, but if we just go the way we are now, we'll be good for this year.
The big
Don't
thing
the
is
fields
that,
will be better.
was that town hall too as well, though. I mean, if you're
Town hall's
not
gonna be-
pulling that 900,000.
Yeah. town hall's still huge.
Are you doing all or 930 replacement, the rest capital?
No.
You're doing
All
capital.
all capital. Yeah, and then it makes sense. I mean, it's all gonna be new.
Right.
It's- But we can always make that decision to do that. That's, we pull money out of their intended launch for whatever purpose.
Right.
I don't think you should mess with the replacement fund with trickle it out of the 851 for with whatever expenses are and all that. Just do it clean, leave it over in the capital.
Again, as we talked in master planning last night with the phase 2 of Island Village, all those homes will be selling probably closer to $1 million on average.
And we used 800 fund. In the calculations right now, we used 800 for an average price. So that's good. And we didn't do any inflation in that 3-year projection.
Yeah.
For home prices or anything.
I mean, there are some towns.
Inflation or home sale increases, right?
Yeah.
We were very concerned.
But no comments. So it's all.
So that's, I think you do it because
It's
of the
in residential.
for the replacement, you know.
No apartments.
Which going back to your splash pad, then it almost seems like that's not built into the current budget to do anything at this point.
In the capital.
Capital replacement for
That's
this capital.
capital.
It's capital, just like anything on the master plan is all gonna be capital because it's new construction.
Right, I'm just saying overall, I mean, you have, I guess. You can either choose doing the fields or doing the splash pad. You can't do both.
The fields would be reserved though.
Yeah, the fields.
The splash pad has to be it has to be capital.
I think you can do an either or, but I think the splash pad we're committed to as part of the master plan and the fields are not part of the master plan. And I think we all can recognize probably not a good idea. So
So
just make the right.
just to figure out some type of solution for the fields, but there is the possibility that as long as the splash pad doesn't get outrageous on the cost side, that's something that could be done.
I think the fields can continue on if you do partial replacements of the sod as needed and you continue to do the annual or the biannual overseeding in the spring and the fall. They can continue to operate as they have been.
Yeah, but that's still the problem, that's still the problem.
Be a lot less than $400,000.
Because it's still, what, 150,000 in the hole, 200,000? Even if we took that approach and it's not.
Oh, it's well, operational sense.
Doesn't our 300 have some overseeding?
Yeah, we need to pull 400 on reserves.
Yeah, any maintenance are we doing something?
Something to pull.
It's hard to hear you, Mike, because other people are talking.
Hold on. The 300 that we're spending on maintenance there now on an annual basis, isn't there some plant seeding and so on and sod maintenance that happens?
Yes,
That's-
the overseeding is included in the operating budget for the most part, and then partial sod replacement would be pulled from reserves.
But my point is, that's part of the 300 we're spending currently.
The overseeding, yes.
Oh,
The
so-
sod replacement, no.
Okay. And, okay,
So, I mean, you're not gonna touch 400K of that. You're gonna touch, I don't know, 50 some odd, if that. Because we just did a sod replacement of both fields in 24, not a full sod replacement, but a good portion. So you should be good for at least a couple of years in terms of a large expenditure.
And our last seeding that we did, the winter ride seeding was 13,700. And that was full, that was a reserve, so it was in line for seeding out of reserves. And that was approved in November.
How many times have we reseeded or resodded the fields?
Seeding twice a year.
it's annual for that.
Those are summer.
I know Lauren's saying 50,000, but you're saying 50,000 a year at minimum just to have bad drainage to put grass in for 2 solid months and then 8 months of junk. And then you gotta replace it again next.
I don't know if it was exactly 50,000. I'd have to
No,
go back and look,
I
but
don't need the number, just kind of the process of you're just pretty much doing a rental of the grass every year.
well, that's a natural sod athletic field. You're gonna destroy the grass.
Yeah. even
It
if
is what it
we're-
is.
You're still gonna destroy the grass. You're still gonna be doing sod replacement.
You shouldn't do the extent of a full sod replacement every year.
Well, hell, you probably do more because, well, maybe not, because you'll have less water potentially. Won't be spongy.
We did it, wasn't it $30,000 slot?
So there's no irrigation.
Yeah, there's irrigation, but if you, problem is there's too much water on the fields and the grass dies.
Yeah.
And it doesn't drain.
In spots.
That's why you manage it.
Well,
It's not even necessarily the irrigation or the dampness of the grass. It's the extensive use that those fields get. Just imagine how many cleats are digging into that sod, ripping and then pushing off. It's destroying the root every time you take a step on that sod. As somebody who played on natural sod fields and artificial turf fields my entire life until I was in my 20s, you will not see a natural sod field survive an entire soccer season, let alone a soccer season, football season, lacrosse season, without replacement.
Right, it's true.
and the irrigation, the drainage isn't gonna help that.
It exacerbates it, yes, but I mean, just even if you don't have those problems, you still need to replace the sod.
Okay. I think we've enough of this discussion at this point. I mean, we'll just have to wait and see.
Do we, just a process, thing, do we want to take the 851 items off that replacement report? And get matching, we want to purge those,
Yes.
so we get matching, so we'll at least take those off, we can leave the fields on there.
Leave the fields on, but again, this is to be managed,
Yeah.
right? It's just, we gotta manage this as the year goes on.
So
So
if you
try and
want
get
to,
it as close to the million that we're putting in
yeah,
as possible.
yeah. So we should pull those all off.
Yes.
Who's it gonna be? What?
Yeah, are you, yes, so you're wanting an adjustment to our reserve funding, or reserve expense?
Forecast.
The report.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Pull the 900.
It's in Excel, you just
Yeah.
delete the dollars that are related to.
Well, it's 930,066, it's a separate section there now, I think, on the loan report.
And we leave the sod mounted before.
Yeah, really, the fields on that, that's in two different places, a couple hundred. Okay,
Last subject is capital projects. I think we've already kind of covered those. There's nothing else that anybody wants to bring up on capital projects.
This question, what is the 851 report to the final?
We are expecting final drawings in 4 to 8 weeks. Then the drawings, if they're approved, then they can look at doing the structural building plans. Once they have those plans, we will have numbers.
Okay. 3 months out.
3 months out, we are now that we've had the approval for the expanded scope with Coleg,
Right.
once January hit, we're running as fast as we can on this project.
They'll have to then go out and get bids.
Right.
Through contractors and things like that.
Yeah. But as far as just getting that number, where it's
Yeah.
in step, fine, it's in steps, yeah. I know, I mean, when we discussed capital items, it was discussed at the master plan to look into the RFP, the multi-fund, but that's just for pricing.
That's just for pricing. Right. Yes.
There will be an extra cost for that,
It would be.
the design fee, just to design and provide the plans and costs. But that's what we're looking at as an additional item out of capital.
Yeah, which I think I still have to get approved by the board
Yes,
before we can.
it hasn't been discussed, it's going on the
Right.
agenda.
So if the board says, no, hold off on that.
Yeah.
Then we'll hold off.
As far as possible additions.
It's just a matter of getting the estimates so we actually know what it's gonna be. That will help appease a lot of the pickleball.
well, it's a long lead time, I mean, that thing,
Oh, yeah.
to get that done, it's gonna be several months,
Oh, absolutely,
multiple months, a quarter probably.
absolutely.
And we don't think that will be. We're doing this RFP for the numbers of
It's
this,
for the numbers.
numbers, not to.
It's not gonna be a 2024 project.
2025 project, yeah.
Yeah, 25, 26.
This is a big one.
Mhm.
And even if you get the bids, it just means the contractor can start right away.
No, that's right. No.
Everyone's so busy. I can't even find someone to fix my hot tub. We can't help you. We're
People putting in fields are a little different.
No, I'm saying, like, you can't find vendors for anything.
Okay, any other comments?
On the reserve, other thing for 2025 I was looking at is the Lakeside Full House, which 51,000 is for interior, so that kind of falls into the scope of the bathroom we're already doing. But then there's another 110,000 for roof, I guess, so that's coming up.
We are looking at roofs this year.
So just kind of thinking of what 2025 projects are, town hall, potentially splash pad. And the bathrooms, finalizing that, which that's already been approved. And then, yeah, just whatever the soccer fields are next. And then potentially multi-purpose courts after that.
First thing you said was Lakeside's in there for something,
The Lakeside Full House interior renovations for 1,000.
pool house, okay. Because when the pool house, there's bathrooms there, isn't it?
It is, and that funding is being
That's-
used.
yeah,
in
that's
the
our
project. Yeah, sorry.
Exactly.
And the roof, though, I would hope they would have somebody go up and.
We have a few
Steps.
roofs. Oh, this, yeah, we have
Yeah.
a few of our community center roofs that we look, once Christian gets caught up in everything else, that is something that we'll look at. We plan to look at this year and bring a vendor to look at all of those collectively.
Yeah, because they may not be needed to be replaced, maybe a couple fixes here and there or whatever.
But I think with Lakeside, I think that's, again, another master plan item of if the roof's coming up, do we keep that structure the same? Playground is up for replacement soon, I think 2026. We're talking about putting the splash pad over there. So what is that holistic view for Lakeside? Just doing a splash pad and putting in a roof. I don't think that's the best use of what that should be. So I know they had some buildings they were thinking of putting
Yeah.
next to it, but
Yeah.
rather than just go forward with some type of roof replacement, what is the larger scope of what we want to accept look like?
You know, I made the comment during the master plan meeting that trying to stick that building on that entryway to Lakeside. Those trees are now along that sidewalk there, yeah, kind of a zigzag building in there, so it followed a path, it was because of circular thing. I said, I don't think you should do that, you should do something with the Lakeside build with the Jones Room.
Yeah.
And something should be done more dramatic there that will facilitate events, having people in there. More meeting space, maybe a second story, whatever it is, but make more of a stage of it for plays or whatever it might be. But trying to build that other building, and they said it was gonna be a senior center or something like
They're
that.
a multi-generation.
Multi-generation, whatever, yeah, teens and
But then,
seniors.
but again, that's gonna happen. Whatever happens about the
That's
community.
the horizon way out, I know.
Yeah.
But if you start to defer on Lakeside, the building, Jones Room, because you think you're gonna build that other thing, you know, I'm not sure that's appropriate.
Right, but the
So-
Jones Road is also included in the master plan and to re-engineer that building, redo it. So,
Basically cosmetic, right?
put in more, technology, things like that. But that's,
Not an expansion or anything like that.
no, that's not a bad idea from the standpoint, if there's room to expand or do a second story, if that's possible, then you don't have to do that other building to be, have another area, so. These are all things that are gonna happen as we go along over the years.
Yeah, which the only thing we're putting money into is bathrooms at this point, so my view is everything else is an open canvas of the room and everything on that side, you can knock that down and do something totally different.
We're gonna look at
on top of it.
Holistically, right? Yeah.
And then, yeah, but you know, the playground, if that's the same place, we move it, but it's more things.
Biggest thing they have to be like.
Lauren, is there a way, or is there a large cost to have that roof inspected just to see what the useful life is? You know, or are we urgently needing to do something in that?
For which roof?
Lakeside?
No, it's not a large cost. We have vendors that inspect our roofs after hurricanes. So we will do that. It's just been something that's been a little bit deferred this year because of trying to onboard some of the maintenance team, but we can get that scheduled sooner rather than later. Because we have metal roofs at, I believe, 3 locations. I want to say North Village, Lakeside, and East Village all have metal roofs, and they are all up for full replacement in the reserve study, but I don't necessarily think they all require full replacement.
Yeah, so understanding, not that we're funding those already, but if the condition's fine, then there's no rush for the community to make a decision on what to do.
Correct, and that's in that 2025 reserve study, non-landscaping documents that's slated that they all need inspection, but may not be needed.
Right. Especially if that works. Out in Florida. I worked there for
Yeah.
7 years, so.
There you go.
Yeah.
You know,
You could inspect the roofs,
Well,
little side hustle.
I sold two metal roofing companies actually. At that. We were mostly a single ply company, so.
So it's just for consensus for this committee. You're in agreement that all of the 851 expenses should be pulled from capital and not replacement. Is that a true statement?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
And then the CCFC fields. I know there's some lean to, but is there a lean that, no, we should not be throwing in replacement funds to do anything substantial there?
I don't think that's our decision.
Sort of our scope, we were just kind of venting.
Yeah.
I'm saying, you don't have an
Well,
opinion there.
You could say they have a shit ass opinion of those fields.
Yes.
I think we're aligned on expenditures in 2025 on the fields and what we want to do.
And that's what you tie it into.
Here and May.
Tied into a comment about the
We're not.
replacement funds and we're taking capital up for the, out the capital for the A51. And another item in there that we talked about were the fields, and it just doesn't seem to make sense to us that we should put another $500,000 in the fields. We should just pay as you go.
Okay. Anything else that you guys need to share or specific committee comments?
I think we're good.
we need a next meeting. I mean, I don't need the audit meeting, but we need a February meeting.
We do. Oh. Okay. Board meeting is February
12th, workshop,
workshop 12th and the board meeting's 26th.
yes.
Correct.
So we go the 18th.
18th and 19th, what, okay.
They look.
18th, 19th works for me.
The 19th, we'll have another. The 18th would be better.
18th, okay.
5:30, 18th.
The January financials will be ready for you.
Okay. So 5:30,
And you take a flooring test on somewhere.
this room, please. Okay, anything else? Okay, I move to adjourn the meeting. All in favor?
You bet.
Aye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.